Welcome into another bonus episode here on Hockey Inside Out. The Canadiens and their prospects for this upcoming season. Could they be playoff contention by the time we talk about this team in March? Because if you look at last year, guys, they officially got eliminated in game number 74. So could they go a little bit deeper and keep themselves relevant this upcoming season?
I think they'll be better than last year, but I don't think they're anywhere close to the playoffs. And there's a few reasons why. They also may be better overall and finish worse than they did last year, because last year Sam Montembeault really won a lot of games for the Montreal Canadiens. He was incredible last year, and he really gets not enough appreciation. If he can repeat that, then the Canadiens probably will improve in the standings. But if he even loses just a little bit, then it'll be a tough year. I think the Canadiens, aside from just the roster perspective of what they need to do to be better, we talked a lot when St. Louis first took over about how his approach to coaching was very slow rolled, right? He had the advantage in a rebuilding team to teach these concepts slow over time, and once they're mastered, move on to the next thing. At a certain point, they're going to have to start teaching defense. And so far, the Canadiens don't do that very well. Whether it's the sliding that Rick hates so much on 2-on-1s or odd man rushes, or just poor decisions in their own zone. I don't think the system that they run, where defensemen are allowed to chase all the way up to the blue line, then forwards have to come back, is going to be a long-term fixture for this team just because of the roster composition. If they were a bigger team, maybe it would make sense, but I don't think anybody wants to see Cole Caulfield defending the net front or Raphael Harvey-Pinard defending the net front. They've got to be a little bit more static in their positions, bring a little bit of that Shea Weber back where you stay close to the net and cut down on the high danger chances. Last year, the Canadiens gave up the second most expected goals against in the entire league after Anaheim, and there wasn't a big gap between them. It's just their goalies were incredible. And unfortunately, the offense hasn't been that great either in terms of, the power play, getting it done at even strength as well. I believe they ranked, let's see here, I believe like 28th or 29th in the league, 30th actually in offense. So that's not good either. They've got a long way to go. Improvement will be made, but I don't think the playoffs are in the picture this year or maybe even next.
And I think the biggest challenge they have is trying to find a way to get healthy and stay healthy. And, it's just, you touched on their defensive zone play. They had so many different combinations. Their lineup was very, very thin. So if they can stay healthy, I would like to give them the benefit of saying, listen, they were knocking on the door at the 40-game mark that they were going, wow, they were going great guns. Everything was happening. They were getting the goaltending. They were in a good place, and it got a lot of people excited, saying that they're going to find a way to get in. So that being said, I think that the reality is they're going to have probably some inconsistencies. We're going to see the same things that we saw last year. I think with the struggling on their special teams that are going to have to get better. They're going to have exceptional goaltending all year. They might be able to find a way to slip in there because they were knocking on the door last year with everybody in the lineup. So I give them a vote of confidence that they could, if they are able to get the goaltending. Defensive zone play, Andrew, like you touched on, has to get better as far as everybody understanding that they can't play a run and gun game when it's time to play defense, and to shore up that area of the game is going to be critical to the success. And they have some discussions, I'm sure, going on those problem areas, but they do have a pretty good group of guys that I think are better than what they were last year. And now they'll put it out there because I'm quite sure they weren't happy with the way things played out. But find a way to stay healthy if you can, and let's see what they can all do, over the course of the long grinding season. And I'm pretty positive they have an opportunity, providing they get the goaltending and everybody is doing what they're supposed to do.
No, I think they'll be better than they were last season because I can't see the same amount of injuries hitting them again. Having said that, I can't see them being a playoff team. I think they're at least a year away from being a legitimate contender to get into the playoffs. They had 68 points last season. It took 92 points to get into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. It's a 24-point jump. That'd be a huge jump to make, and that's just to get the number 8 spot. They were also minus 75 in goal differential last year. As Andrew mentioned, they struggled defensively. They struggled offensively also. Florida, the last team to get in the playoffs from the East, they were plus 17. That's a big, big difference. So I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm looking forward to seeing these teams. They're going to be really young on defense. Losing Edmondson, another veteran player. He didn't have a great season last year, but he's still a veteran guy. Sam Montour, can he do again what he did last season? The Canadians obviously don't have a ton of faith in their goaltending, which is why they drafted 3 goalies this year. But I think they'll be fun to watch. I think I can see a 10, 12-point improvement over last season. I can see them being entertaining. I can see them having fans thinking there's a hope of the playoffs, later into the season. But at the end of the day, I think they're too young on defense. The goaltending is too questionable. Offense and power play has been a problem for a long time. There's a lot of things they need to fix, and I think to do it for next season is just too quick. Maybe the year after, I can see them possibly contending to be back into the playoffs, and that would be season 3 of the full rebuild. And if that is the case, that's a good progress on the rebuild. But for year 2 of a rebuild to get into the playoffs, I think it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I think if you look at the difference between 2021 and 2022, and then 2022, 2023, the Canadians improved by 13 points between those years, which is a lot considering all the injuries they had last year, right? It's not like they spectacularly got healthy and had a much better season. They only got healthy for like the first couple games of the year. So 13 points would put them into around 6th in the East last season. If they improve their goal differential by the same amount, that was about plus 22. That put them at around negative 53 goals, which would only be 8th in the East, which is not great. There's a lot of room to improve here. And we've been told time and again that they're not going to sacrifice things to try to get forward like through this rebuild faster, but they will push forward if they can in deals like Newhook and Doc. So I don't think we're going to see them make big changes next year to get into a contending window in any way. It's just we're going to have to see them ride it out. And after passing on Matvei Michkov, frankly, they need another really high-end pick. You don't really get the opportunity to draft a player that impactful at 5. So will they find that kind of luck again next year and not pass on it? I don't know. But they need some lottery luck or something to get this rebuild truly in a position where they can look at Buffalo and Ottawa and say, we're going to compete with these teams a couple years down the line. Because I look at the Buffalo Sabres and the players that they took in the draft this year and the players already on their team, like Tage Thompson, Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, and then they've got I'm blanking on the name now, but I love their goalie that they brought out of the NCAA. I think he's the best goaltending prospect in the world.
Devin Levi, right, who idolizes Carey Price and looks like Carey Price even. He's just shorter. I think Buffalo is going to be the team that the Canadians are going to have to compete with when this rebuild is over, and I don't see them having the horses right now. So they're going to have to find something special to compete with teams like that, and that's still – they don't have it yet. They need to find it. And the irony is, Levi is a Montreal kid, and they took 3 goaltenders in the draft this past June. So we'll see what happens with him. But I'll say this before we wrap up this question, guys: the 2 most important acquisitions to this team's rebuild is, Stu, you made the point before, Rick, you made the point before, Andrew made the point before during last season, is going to be the medical team and how they keep these guys upright and healthy, and that could be a big difference in why they can make that bigger jump this year towards the goal, perhaps making the playoffs in about 18 months from now. So we'll find out what they do this year, and potential is there. The question is, can they stay healthy to realize that potential? We'll find out. Don't forget to submit your questions or comments here at Hockey Inside Out, and check out the YouTube page for all the Hockey Inside Out episodes. And for the newsletter, head on by MontrealGazette.com/newsletter. And for bonus content and full episodes, head on by Hockey Inside Out. On behalf of Rick, Andrew, and Stu, wish you a great week. We'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.